各位线上的朋友们，大家好，欢迎继续参加2021天下城市高峰论坛第2场次全球境界，从国际经验看见台湾机会哦。那我们今天呢，要带领大家走出台湾，来到瑞士。瑞士除了面对疫情缴出漂亮的成绩单之外呢，另外根据2021年经济学人智库最宜居城市的调查报告显示哦，瑞士有2个城市。苏黎世以及日内瓦挤进前10大的这个非常优秀的成绩哦，所以瑞士真的非常多值得台湾学习的地方。我们今天呢非常开心，为各位邀请到的是瑞士苏黎世城市发展总监 Anna Schindler 来跟大家分享。Ladies and gentlemen, we are taking you to Switzerland today. Switzerland not only has done a great job in the fight against COVID, it also has 2 most livable cities in the world, according to The Economist, Zurich and Geneva. So we really have a lot to learn from Switzerland. Today, we are very happy to be joined by Anna Schindler, Director of Urban Development, City of Zurich.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, in the following 15 minutes, I will explain Zurich's experience during the COVID-19 pandemic. Something we have all learned in the past 1.5 years is that this special period needs specific and pragmatic actions to support and protect those who suffer the most from this virus and its consequences. With the global outbreak of COVID-19, we are witnessing an unprecedented impact on our daily lives that comes along with complex challenges. We have undertaken many actions to allow social and economic life to flourish in an environment built to confine the virus from resurging. Overall, this process is characterized by many unknown variables and a great uncertainty. A few weeks ago, the situation in Switzerland looked positive. The numbers of infections sank and the quota of vaccinations raised. The current situation shows a different picture. The national government sees the danger of a 4th wave approaching Switzerland. The number of infections is increasing. There were more than 3,000 new infections registered yesterday on August 23rd. And also the number of people who need to go to hospital increases. Since the outbreak of COVID in Switzerland, the government has imposed 2 lockdowns. The first one stretched from March 16th, 2020 until May 18th, 2020. A second lockdown affected the public life in Switzerland from December 18th, 2020 until February 24th of this year, 2021. During the lockdown periods, the Confederation acted based on an emergency law. The Federal Council has the right to act outside any constitutional order based on that law. This does not apply to fundamental rights, but for the public life, the lockdown meant closing of all shops beside groceries, pharmacies and drugstores, closing of all restaurants and bars, except takeout offerings as long as social distancing rule of 2 meters was possible. Borders also were closed except for people entering from Liechtenstein. All pupils or kids were homeschooled. Unions of more than 5 people were prohibited in public and private spaces. In Zurich, this was the moment that the pandemic task force of the city entered the stage. In 2008, the City Council has created the leadership in special and extraordinary situations, so-called, in order to be able to react and govern adequately in crisis. This so-called leadership, FIBAL, includes various disaster scenarios, including also a pandemic. The various crisis team and the delegation of the City Council have regularly practiced the management of crisis situations even before, since 2008, partly also in association with the federal government and the canton. As a result, Zurich was and is generally well prepared for a wide variety of crises. The administration also specifically prepared for pandemic in a project commissioned by the City Council by the end of 2018. The pandemic preparation planning. It defines the vital services of all departments, which must be provided in each case. With the beginning of the crisis, there was suddenly an immense need for information, both vis-à-vis or to the public and within the administration. The public was informed via various channels: poster campaigns, the website, social media, and video messages in 12 different languages, or at a later point, also a campaign that should contribute to the well-being of the population once the lockdown was close to the end. The City Council of Zurich took the following decisions during the lockdown periods: prohibition of all public events, reduced timetables for public transportation, prohibition of visits in retirement homes and hospitals that was especially hard for the population, arrangement of home office for all municipal employees if possible. In addition, the most frequented public parks and the lakeside were closed for public access. The police controlled and punished infringements against the federal measures in public spaces. As these measurements hit the local economy especially hard, the City Council decided on a variety of economic measurements to support the local economy. First, the City Council brought into emergency assistance for self-employed people and small businesses. They received a payment of 2,500 Swiss francs in a quick and non-bureaucratic manner. As soon as the restaurants could reopen their outside spaces in May 2020, the City Council allowed an extension of their outdoor areas to keep the number of sitting places observing social distancing rules, in order that they didn't have to reduce them. From June to the end of October 2021, now, catering establishments can increase the number of boulevard coffee seats by a maximum of 30% free of charge. We went even further. In addition, the previous fee waivers for the trade will be granted until the end of the year 2021. These measurements were very much appreciated. Since the travel market is likely to recover slowly, very slowly, the City Council committed a special contribution for Zurich Tourism, our tourism organization, to cushion the economic consequences of the corona pandemic for the next 2 years, and for measures to revitalize tourism. Businesses that had to temporarily close due to the COVID measures, or which generated less turnover than in previous years, are supported by the City of Zurich with rent contributions. With the 3/3 model, so-called 3/3 model, the City of Zurich is providing an incentive for property owners of business premises to accommodate their tenants in terms of rent. If they agree with their tenants that they only have to pay 1/3 of the rent, the city pays the 2/3 of the net rent, and the property owners take on the 3rd one. The crisis hits the most vulnerable part of the population the hardest. The tense economic situation caused by the pandemic is causing existential problems, especially for foreigners in precarious employment situations in the city of Zurich. Out of fear of negative migration law consequences, many of those affected dispense of asking for social assistance. The result is a life of poverty in the middle of our rich city. This situation is not bearable for the city of Zurich, because the fight against poverty is one of the central tasks of all cities and municipalities. Because this task is made significantly more difficult by the migration legislation at federal level, the Social Office of the City of Zurich is currently developing a new measurement to secure the livelihood of those vulnerable foreigners in a pilot project, together with different civil society actors. With a new so-called basic economic aid, people anchored in Zurich without access to social assistance, as well as people who take risks when receiving social assistance, are temporarily financially supported to cover their basic needs. For this pilot project, which started in June and is limited to 18 months, the City Council is providing 2 million Swiss francs in financial resources. The last example that I want to present you shows that even small and pragmatic solutions may have a big impact. The Smart City team, that is part of my Office of Urban Development, supported other departments during the pandemic as a sparring partner to find easy and quick digital solutions for relevant problems that occurred by the COVID restrictions. For instance, residents in retirement homes suffered from the visit ban from their relatives and families. We found an easy solution to get the retirement home residents in touch again with their families. Intercoms were installed at the retirement homes, so communication with family and friends was facilitated. I would summarize Zurich's lessons learned during the pandemic as follows. The City Council recognized the seriousness of the situation early on. It took the necessary organizational precautions, initiated adjustments quickly and pragmatically, and communicated them appropriately. The City of Zurich was not fundamentally unprepared for the pandemic. Adequate preparation over several years, as we have seen, for situations like this was a critical success factor in overcoming the crisis. Furthermore, crisis management is not the same as management in everyday life. The pandemic task force within the city is an important support and coordination tool for the City Council, for the departments of the services. The fact is that the staff performed and continues to perform its function throughout the duration of the pandemic is essential for successfully overcoming the crisis. It made sure that management was regulated and is regulated, especially that of the executive. Communication and cooperation with a wide variety of stakeholders also is central to successfully deal with the pandemic. Overall, and in an international comparison, Zurich managed the crisis quite well, thanks to the rapid and coordinated action of all actors. For example, the unemployment rate has stabilized relatively quickly, currently at 2.9% in the city of Zurich, and the number of new social assistance cases is slightly below the pre-COVID level. COVID is a worldwide pandemic, a worldwide danger that hit us all. Therefore, we believe that the ability to make the right decisions is strongly enhanced if we engage in knowledge exchange and collaboration on a supranational level. Together, worldwide together, our capacity to overcome the crisis and to prevent a second outbreak will increase substantially. Thank you very much for your attention.